Okay, so this is really special for me tonight to have Barbara and God, my mind goes blank because I get so nervous when I'm behind the camera, but you know, Barbara, Hope, and Nancy. So, I mean, it's just really wonderful. So thank you so much to be here and, celebrating with me the 15 years. And I would just like to say a few things about Cervena Barva Press. We published over 200 books and 13 so far this year. And we have many things going on. Now it's all virtual, and you'll see in September some of these things coming back. And that is poetry and translation roundtables, a poetry and artist series, pastry with poets, workshops, the Lost Bookshelf Bookstore, and Read America Read. And we have been in the Armory for now 7.5 years. Of course, it is closed, our store and the press there, but our store is online at least, so that's a good thing. So tonight, 3 wonderful, wonderful writers, and I'm really honored to have published books by all of you. It's such great work, and all of the readers tonight have numerous publications, books. So tonight, all I'm going to do is just introduce what I published by them. But if you want more information, please go to their websites and check them out. And so our first reader is Hope Jordan. And the chapbook I published by her is called The Day She Decided to Feed Crows. And that was in 2018. And here's what it looks like. And I love the crow. I love crows. So that's it. And so I give you Hope.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks so much to Gloria. Congrats on 15 years. Thanks for publishing me. And also thank you for giving me the opportunity to read poetry by Zoom. I've been really feeling very far apart from poetry since the pandemic started, and I'm really happy to have this opportunity. So thank you. I'm just going to start reading from my chapbook, and going to read a bunch of poems from that, and then at the end, 2 new poems that are published online. This is called At the Bridge Cafe. At the Bridge Cafe on a day when winter rains seep between shoe seams and you choke on air, raw with cigarettes and sadness, and men in doorways look at you, beaten, and love has clawed its way in and out of your heart so many times. You stumble, yes, on such a day, George at the bridge simmers a bisque of roasted squash with a pinch of curry, and the taste of it curls at the back of your throat like the way you laughed when you were 13 years old and knew everything. This is called Before and After. A yellow jacket stung my thumb. Daylilies bloomed along the road. Cut hay smelled like sweet grass. Grant's farm stand sold out of strawberries. The toilet clogged and unclogged. The dog wouldn't eat for 3 days. The phone rang and rang. Audrey brought over salt potatoes. My brother found a bullet in the parking lot. You had started a list, milk, garbage bags. Nobody turned on the television. Nobody wanted to sleep downstairs. Fireflies signaled all night in the brush. Some of them flew into our rooms. The day she decided to feed crows in the post-war side yard where she played tea party with her brother so Mary Ann could see, she lay down on the grass with a slice of Wonder Bread in each hand, arms wide. Nobody believed, but she knew if she lay there long enough, still enough, looking at the brown utility poles and black wires against the blue sky, the crows would come. She closed her eyes. After a long wait, nobody could say how long, the crows came. They said she was legendary, singular. They ate bread from her hands. Skipping around a little because I have a poem about a car that belonged to one of my mom's boyfriends. And my brothers and sisters saw this poem and they remembered this, and we all remember things differently, but this is called Pete's Buick. Pete's Buick smelled like beautiful women instead of pine tree air fresheners. A gallery of legs and yellow lace, skin and hair, purple eye makeup, the mix of air fresheners and cigar smoke, oil and hot metal from the custom pipes Pete installed along the sides. You had to be careful climbing in and out. My mom's calf looked like a hot dog left on the grill where she brushed it when she wore sandals, and we sank into the back seat and waited for the wind to come in from Pete's window and see the air fresheners gyrate, hair whipping and mixed with ashes. How fast was he going to drive the muck road to the store, and would he get you a Slim Jim or a Pepsi when you got there? This one is called Blood Sister. In the Western, the outlaw cut his palm. The chief did the same. Blood seeped, they clasped hands, joined forever, blood brothers. My brothers and I used sewing needles, pricked fingertips, mingled drops. Children already joined in blood, but keen for the rights of men. The men at the party were cool for cats, kegs and cups, cement and smash. One wrapped his hand, he took me home by morning. My legs were smeared with streaks of his blood. Blood settled down between my legs one Sunday. Nothing remained to tie us together. My insides unfastened like weights in a slot machine, undone by levers. A couple poems that are sort of about music. Not blue. Not blue, not robin's egg blue, but the bruised blue of snow beneath bridges, shadow snow, blues guitar and birchwood. Those silver nights minted moon coins and the clouds overcharged the sea. Daytime blue never spoke to you, you who loved the wolf that lived in me, howling old songs, the colors of morning glories. And this is a Sestina. It's called Janis Joplin's Sestina. I remember when Gloria was putting this chapbook together and she was like, these lines are too long. This line is going like, this is a challenge to typeset, so thank you. It's a really weird poem, but people like it. Janis Joplin's Sestina. What would we be if we could not sing? Baby, my life is hard as a rock. Didn't I make you feel like you were the only man? Baby, I tried. I could not make it work. In Texas, you tried growing up so alone. I wasn't pretty, so they left me alone. I wasn't pretty, but I could sing back home in Port Arthur, Texas. They fed us gospel for breakfast. No rock and roll hippie shit, just church and hard work. Each woman, God's servant, each man. I didn't dig it so much, man. So I ran to where the music was far out, but I was still alone. They asked if I was afraid to work, but I was more afraid to sing. Odetta sings folk songs like chain gangs breaking rocks, and I couldn't wait to get out of Texas. San Francisco was nothing like Texas. lost a piece of my heart to more than one man. Night after night, I was rocked by a different daddy, but in the end, they left me alone. All I could hold on to was singing, and don't let anyone tell you that isn't work. On stage, I always had to work my courage up. The Bay was in Texas. Nobody wanted to hear me sing gospel anymore. They wanted ball and chain. Man, they wanted heartbreak. I make love to 25,000 people a night and go home alone. My shoes are broken. I want to crawl under a rock. But damn, can I rock the house? I know how to work the crowd. Southern comfort chases blues, chases lonely. Heroin and song kept me the hell out of Texas. It was better than it'd been with any man. I was beautiful when I could sing. It takes work to hold on when you know you're alone. My high school reunion, man, faces like rocks. Nobody in Texas asked me to sing. Just checking my time here. Okay. I'm gonna do a couple of New Hampshire-y poems, and then I'll do some new stuff. So this is called Interstate 93, New Hampshire. We hurl change at toll baskets placed like woven branches banked in the riverbed to catch the gleaming salmon swimming, the Merrimack that parallels the highway, and here we go, like the salmon, north and south, not once or twice a year, but all day long, past the empty railroad cars, past the blue tarp of the homeless couple, past the small carnival on the outskirts of the city, where the loneliest man waits for anyone to climb inside colored lights and ride to the apex of the raw and early air. And this is along the lake highway. All summer, snowmobiles slumber under tarps. Garages choke on motorcycle parts, old couches, and a loneliness so deep it comes around to marry ecstasy. In winter, boys wait on the bridge to throw snowballs so hard one driver skids to a stop and dangles the boy he can catch by the ankles over the dark creek. In spring, slow trucks spray for mosquitoes. Broken glass gathers in gullies where snails congregate in Pepsi bottles. Trees crowd curves and roads. It's safe enough to ride your banana seat bike to the drugstore, where the girl at the counter doesn't understand when men ask for prophylactics. Boys catch house cats and skin their tails alive. Housewives overdose the day after Halloween. Okay. So, these are two new poems. This one is called New York. New York. We stopped when the man with the phone beckoned. At his feet, another man, sidewalk unconscious. People flowed around us like a river around a boulder. Look at his shoes, said the phone man. He wore a suit and a white mane of hair. The man on the ground was brown. One of us folded a sweater and made him a pillow. A woman complained about the way New York City drivers won't give emergency vehicles the right of way. Had anyone called an ambulance? A small nun circled us as if on wheels. Someone loosen his belt, the phone man said. One of us faded into the crowd. Another knelt and held the down man's calloused hand. He's just a drunk, someone said. A curse, a woman holding a baby in a doorway. And this is after A. Van Jordan, and a poem that he has in his amazing book. I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm blanking on it. But it's about the young girl who won the spelling bee. I will remember it at some point. But it's A. Van Jordan's a wonderful poet. Van Jordan. This is Elegy to My Brother. Elegy to my brother. June 18th, 1987. Black Creek Road shimmers with heat and new tar in front of the house we grew up in, where I learned the gold of you always having had my back, where we caught frogs in the ditch, where we listened to our father's records, American Pie. Every night now I walk 2 miles to the stop sign. Every night I sleep in your room. June 13th, 1987. You're driving a bakery van on Route 13, cresting a hill. Maybe the sunrise is in your eyes, maybe not. We'll never know why you crossed over head on into the other van, killing yourself and him. I was watching Live Aid in my apartment when I got the call. After that, I couldn't hear music. June 12th, 1987. You're home this summer after your first year of college, where you met a redheaded girl, made friends who hung condoms on your dorm room door. You broke your leg playing football in the mud. You were happier than I'd ever known you to be. May 12th, 1987. I cannot wait to see you again. I've been drinking so hard, the white of my right eye is blood red. I've been sleeping on the floor in smashed glass with an angry man. It's all done, you're there for the end, your arm around me, in my peach dress and graduation gown, my burst blood vessel eye. February 8th, 1968. Bob Dylan's on the turntable, inside the cabinet stereo with its cozy orange eye. That's how I know the music will play. I can hear it too, all about Queen Jane, all about that highway, any highway. You're here for the first time, and small. Nothing much has changed. There are 3 of us now. You're the second boy, and I'm the one sitting on the couch who knows you're not a doll, the one who holds you carefully.
Hey Hope, I'm sorry to butt in. Oh, I was just gonna tell you that you've been off video.
Oh, I have been?
Yes, for the past 2 poems, we've been audio only, but now we see you again, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I hope it was okay. You could hear the audio, right? Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Well, I think my time is up, and think I'm done. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. I thought she did it intentionally, so I didn't want to disturb. But we heard you. Yes, we hope we heard you perfectly, and they're exquisite. I'll mute myself now.
Thank you so much, Hope. Yeah, I didn't want to ruin the flow of your poem, so I didn't say anything. So, but it was wonderful. Thank you so much.
I learn more about Zoom every day. Thank you, guys.
All right, so do I. Okay, our next reader is Nancy Mitchell. And congratulations, Nancy, on being Poet Laureate of Salisbury, Maryland. So yay, that's really wonderful news. And way back in 2009, I published Grief Hut, and here it is. And I give you Nancy.
Hope, they were just such beautiful poems. Thank you so much for sharing them with us. And I feel like I'm in kind of your same neighborhood with some of these poems. I was so thrilled when Gloria decided to publish Grief Hut, and it has an interesting history. Although it was well received in 2009, since the opioid crisis started hitting members of the middle class and hitting a broader group of people, a broader group of citizens, it's become kind of I've been asked to give readings and so forth and so on from this book. And interestingly enough, I don't know if they do this your way, but there's a movement here called Wicomico, that's our county, goes purple. That's when purple lights are put in windows to commemorate those who have lost their lives to the opioid crisis. And serendipitously, this is purple. So it's that wonderful eggplant that you and your husband chose, and I'm so thrilled. So Grief Hut is the metaphor of of these poems in here. You enter the grief hut and you come out. And in this book, lots of things are grieved. You'll hear them and you'll understand them. Years of it. Only lightly you let me touch your skin. Jesus, how thin. Trace ribs in relief, the raised ridge of your spine, as if from this outline alone, I could divine what finds us here year after year. You under 2 down comforters, thermostat up to 80, and turn to the wall. My pleading, please, please. See a doctor, please, and you. Take it easy, Ma. There's nothing you or anyone else can do. It's just the flu. While all along, the truth was hiding in the blue of your tattoos. So, continuing. This one is called Saved. I backed both cars out and spread a tarp over the garage floor, then dumped out the black trash bags hauled from your rented room, except for the 2 you took on the plane to Hazelden. Pawned notes for my gifts, folded into broken winged origami birds, powdery pill cutters, flame smudged spoons, empty Valium vials, bank statements, ATM hits over $200 a day. Plastic phone shells, wired guts twisted into a ball, and a t-shirt swears Quaalude rules. And then a page, red markered goals, wrapped around a St. Jude's prayer. Please let me get sober. Please let me paint. Please help me find a woman to love me. 1 pile to save, 1 pile to throw away, the other pile to smash into bits and burn. So, by the way, my son is going into 16 years of sobriety. So these were poems about that part of our lives together. And kind of the last poem from that series is called Cyprexa Rimaran. Where are we? Sorry about this. I don't know why I'm very nervous reading these poems. It's been a while since I've read this particular group of poems. So hopefully I'll hit my stride a little bit better. Cyprexa, Rimaran, and Effexor. These meds could be intergalactic triplets, our new Nautilus equipment. For the dual diagnosis you are not ready to share with me yet. Or maybe the name of new constellations that you might chart your new life by. And these are love poems. These are about, you'll see the arc of this love affair gone sour and kind of out from that again. Mustache. She makes him cross his heart over and over again, solemnly swear that he only sees it when she's in profile and side lit, the half halo prickling above her lovely lip. Mornings were vodka orange sunrise until the day she said, "A baby I want." He kissed her hands and then began in stages to delay. After the essay on Hemingway was finished any day now, and then when fingers crossed, a publisher came through. And don't forget the lecture, not yet written, on the connection between the mall and the Middle Ages for the summer conference in Prague. And of course, the iron iron rail for the patio he'd have to learn blacksmithing to do. His designs so wrought in calligraphy and curly-cued. Red House. She might have stayed if the stuck-open window breeze wasn't always so cold on her feet, or if the algae scum didn't sludge the lake, or if she could quit thinking about the odd traces of leak streaking the shingles, or why, when they fought, he always said, "Why don't you just take a walk around the block and cool off?" When there was no block, just scrabbled acres of felled corn stalks, the flat brown tongue of country road, the dog barks scraping the night. And moving on to, I'm segueing into another book, so hopefully it'll, so things are starting to sour a bit with this relationship. So, the leaving. That last night with you lying down, you placed your hands on the space where my ribs furl back like wings to steady me, to keep me from rising. Are there children around? Do we have children in the audience? Do we know? Are there kids listening? Are there? We don't know. Okay, so maybe I won't take a chance. It's not too racy, but still. Okay, 48. The near surround. On the far edge of the afternoon field, a shape suggests itself, but not enough to begin the long journey for. Too many times the cypress beyond the lane's curve was your hooded posture. Your shadow darkened the white lawn chair. Now I watch what gathers between us, between me and what isn't you. Tuesday morning. Her breath fogs the window. The window clears, fogs the window, then clears again. And I think I will read this one because I think if there are children in the audience, I can preface this by saying someone told me this story and I thought it was so intriguing because the extremes that we will go to hold on to whatever we can, any semblance of someone that we've loved. And if you pass this person anywhere, you know, you would never think that this person kind of, I don't want to say succumb to these depths, but anyone who's been desperately in love knows what those desperate times often call for. Far edge. Where she had peed in the dirt, 5 years later, he put his hands in the same dirt, tasted it, and wept. Who is he who could do such? Who is she that he would do such? And this is kind of a new one, but it fits into love poems. These are, I don't know, anyway. I thought I'd miss you desperately, but your shadow has proved more interesting. Your profile in silhouette, so elegant. Your receding hairline approaching intellectual. Your every movement fluid, graceful, not one wasted step or gesture. A perfect lyric in black and white, contours crisp and edgy, not your usual wishy-washy fade to maybe. And just switching here, there are just a few poems that This is from my third book called The Out of Body Shop. And I'm intrigued. I was talking with Barb about how, I don't know about you all, but I'll look back at poems that I've written, say, several years ago, and they seem to be so applicable to what's going on now. And if more than any other time, I think that we are in kind of an out-of-body shop. We don't get to see each other. We don't get to be, you know, I don't even have to say all of it, but we've kind of been reduced to having a virtual life with each other. So this poem is about people who end up in an out-of-body shop after traumatic experiences, but also it reminds me of where we are right now. So it's called Friends Here. All we are now is floating text next to a thumbnail of the body we left. We reminisce on all the ways a warm body feels against another body, how voices sound so differently in fog than in the dark and day, and everything, the smell of rain changes. We try not to complain about the constant ache of the phantom body. We try to be grateful. We like each other. We have emojis. And you know, one of the interesting things about what we're going through in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement and what it's going to require for us to really move into some serious healing is to go back and face the past. We have to bring it up. We have to look at it. And it's kind of the only way that we can move forward is by facing the past. So the first poem of this recent book is called The Past, and it's about what people have to do in recovery to recover the connection to the body. You have to bring the past up, haunt your memories, and then reintegrate them into the psyche. But I thought it was applicable to today. The past. If we have to bring it up, we'll need gloves, latex pulled elbow high, and a mask. Glasses, safety glasses. We'll take it outside, spread the decades in the sun, burn off the mold, the stink. And there were two more kind of interesting poems, and then I think I'll wrap it up so we can hear Barb's poems. But I hope this isn't, you know, this is kind of so interesting to me in a way, the where we are now. We're like, I don't know where we are. Does anybody else know where we are? I just know that I'm here reading with you all, and that's a wonderful thing. And it's wonderful to be here with Gloria after all these years. And you have no idea how your support of me has been so comforting and scaffolding for my life over these years. And thank you so much for that. But there's a poem, it's called Truce. No guns, but no birds. No fists and bricks, but no breeze. It's going to be dark. It's going to be black and white. And maybe I can't leave you all with that. Maybe I can read one more that's a little bit, and it seems, I don't know how you all are doing. I think I try to write and I feel like I come out empty-handed. My thinking is fragmented a lot. So this is a poem I wrote recently, and it's all I have. All I have is a handful of red petals falling from the tulips in the blue vase in a patch of sunlight. A handful of red petals fallen from the tulips in the blue vase in a patch of sunlight. Red petals of all I have fallen from. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And Barbara E. Murphy is next. And in 2015, I published Almost Too Much. And this is it here. I don't know if you can see the cover. I'm gonna, just so you can see the image of the rock in the, in that. So I give you Barbara.
Thank you, Gloria. Nancy and Hope, I am so proud to be in your company tonight. These are beautiful, and I don't think I've ever been prouder to be part of the Cervena Barva community. So thank you, Gloria. Yeah. I'm going to read a few from the book and then some work from a manuscript in progress. So to go with Nancy's theme, I feel like every time I set out to write either a pandemic poem or a poem about how our nation is riven, I keep digging into my own past. So who knows what that's about, but we go with what comes up. So this is from the book, First Place, Once. If I had saved one thing from the scraps of my parents' marriage, which was, as it turned out, my childhood, it would have been the clipping from Merrick Life, our weekly news. Already old when I was young, the picture showed my father playing marbles, champion in the 10 to 12-year division. A foolish game to his children decades later when marbles in the dirt with no adult to referee or coach seemed primitive, embarrassing. My father squinted up in that photo, right into someone's camera, cap on the ground, stick-drawn circle of play, barely visible, marbles, just specks, and he was happy. So much came later, trouble in school, a world war that did not mind his dropout status, his just under legal age, a wife who was, then wasn't. How did it survive, that faded, brittle photo? Some mother, then another, must have cared enough to save that one small thing. And it lasted as long as it did. And he smiled into full sunlight. This next one is Clarity, wrote when I was at Warren Wilson MFA program for Nance. The work has never gone like this. I have thrown more pots in 2 months than in the last year. And I found a shade of blue I only dreamed. 6 a.m. January sky, still more full of moon than sun. And I finally finished that set of dishes. Service for 24, absolutely unwaveringly black, with a red band at the edge, so thin, even I had to look for it. I packed them this morning for a man and woman who held them like mirrors. While he hauled the boxes to the car, his bride unwrapped a saucer and touched her tongue to its edge. One more from the book. This is called After Meditation. If you're like me, you struggle with a meditation practice. No guarantees that enlightenment follows the hour of sitting in silence, eyes downcast, or that enlightenment, if it does come, is welcome. No promises that the world in focus is an easier one to know than the one you have learned to inhabit, one hand on the wheel, the other dialing numbers, making plans. The world comes clean at its own price. The sound of geese overhead, their thin cries, clear as night through the ceiling and roof of the house, is either the saddest sound you will ever know or one of great lifting joy. Either way, you will never not hear it again. I'm going to switch to some newer work. The name of this manuscript in progress is The Unfinished Family, and that's borrowed from Czesław Miłosz, who said, when a writer is born into a family, the family is finished. So I'm kind of pushing against that. High-pitched shriek. This is called We Are Never Just bystanders. High-pitched shriek of braking tires whips me back into my day. The driver moves too quickly from car to jittery woman, just a block from Momo's Market and me. Her slack face tells he is no stranger, his rage a familiar. He leans forward to spit in her face, yells, "That's all I wanted to do," as the drops arc in the summer light. But it's not. Back in the car, he follows her to the corner, speeds up, brakes again, inches from her small body, blocks her way, 2,000 pounds of molded plastic and steel. She is all bone and surprise. The car, a new element to their story. On 86th Street in Brooklyn, my mother screamed up to a second-story open window, a man, his raised arm, "I know what you're doing to that woman. I'm not leaving until you stop." Surprised as ever to realize I am still her daughter, I yell too, enough this day to interrupt. Back in the days of yelling into open windows, past her own bruised ribs, my mother took in a young girl from work. We were gone then, her daughters, to the relative safety of our own mistakes. My mother bought that young woman the best clothes she ever knew, paid for a fresh haircut, a first month's rent, sent her on her new shaky life. We did not know what to make of this. We who had been regularly shorn, clothed, sheltered. We were not exactly jealous, but we wanted something. We wanted her to yell for us, to take us in as if we were new and scared and almost out of danger. This is a kind of new, very new, so I offer you a draft. The only girl at the ring, in black patent leather shoes, buckled at the ankles, grosgrain bows on the part of the shoe called the throat. When the Girl Scouts offered $2 riding lessons at the rundown, tired horse stable, my mother couldn't turn them down. I could have, but my mother knew a bargain. And she, child of the Depression, pushed through high school by age 15, had never had a chance to ride. I'd been told to show up wearing leather-soled shoes, and these were it. The only other footwear in the closet, rubber-bottomed sneakers, ready to run or climb. "Do you always show up in church shoes?" the instructor asked. "First time," I answered, leaving it vague, open. "Let them outride me. I'll outrun them." Yeah. This is also a kind of back in the neighborhood poem, and its title is Rock, Rose, Rose, Moss. I first knew the ground cover as Portulaca, loving the vowel sounds, the almost other language of it, in a neighborhood where all was, we thought, finished, would stay as we knew it. Square, starter, house next to same, one car per family, post-war dads, always distracted, just leaving, just arriving. Driveways came in 2 concrete strips and an unpaved center patch. Everyone else planted grass, sprayed for a green chemical hue, aimed for the neatest cut. But the Kinseys planted Portulaca, in bloom from the last day of school until the first. Every color we already knew and didn't. Tight-fisted flowers that gripped, then loosened. I loved the Kinseys. They fed homemade chicken soup to their spaniel Briggs, and their boys built things with grown-up tools, taught us to dam creeks. Their father was a lineman when those lines were shared and long distance saved for crisis or low-rate hours. Mr. and Mrs. Kinsey danced at my mother's second wedding. All was not, it turned out, finished. Closer to each other than any couple on the floor. I knew they were different from the rest of us. What they had, more vivid, hotter, Their house smelled alive, as if they were the only ones who knew how to turn what could grow in a backyard into food, could turn touch into sex, earth into seed, into ripening fruit. This one, When the Girls Were Girls. We should have taken bigger steps, made deeper ruts, written longer poems. When we wept over our betraying lovers, returned as we knew they would be to their wives, their desks, and afternoon naps. We were only the most recent betrayals. You said we never really wanted them. We wanted their lives, their hours at the desk, as the pages, it seemed to us, settled on their own into finished books. We fit ourselves into smaller and smaller places, dressed in black to be hardly seen. We did not mean to take up so little space. In that half light, we saw a thin path, stumbled on until it branched. Do I have time for 2 more, Gloria?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. This one was inspired during a residency at the Vermont Studio Center, a place for which I am very grateful, and was inspired by one of my fellow residents. If it didn't kill you, you can write about it. Zorhal shrugs away my astonishment. She rode the bus from Louisville, Kentucky to northern Vermont. It didn't kill her. The 30+ hours, she'd forgotten her passport, didn't know the bus routed through Canada, just made her mad. She had her warm sweater, her books, her computer, cards, cash, not so her traveling companions, with children who had plowed through their snacks, reduced to swinging their restless feet against our seatbacks, whiny from sweaty naps and too high windows, and the old people with swollen ankles and transfers ahead. Zorhal could have flown, but she had the time, has a writer's mind for tedium and long views, and the possibility that a word or phrase worth keeping grows into something, perhaps an American story. There are 3 mosques in Louisville every month, graffiti or another vandalism. Nazis speak Arabic, was spray painted in 2015. They could give the kids fruit and crackers, Zorhal says, or coloring books, cartoons on screens. They could do something to soften that journey. And I'm gonna close with a poem that actually is of this season a little bit, The Young Family. Across our backyards, the family saw me. I had stepped out a few yards from my house, following the sound of the children's fiddling. The 2 older boys stood and played at what we call a fire pit in this careful neighborhood. Come join us, drink with us. We'll put a chair out as close to us as is allowed. I declined, already having downed 2 glasses of wine with dinner and not sure about stepping into a perfect nuclear circle. But I was nearly undone by gratitude. Promise this invitation is open. All I want is children playing imperfect music, practicing for the time when we are all at the same table, blowing out each other's candles, breathing each other's air. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All of you, I mean, talk about incredible work. I mean, I'm actually speechless, and that never happens. It was really, really wonderful and such an honor to have you guys read tonight. So really, thank you so much. I just want to say tomorrow we have Mark Fleckenstein, Jonathan Penton, and Glenn Sheldon reading. So I hope you will join us. And again, can we give the readers another round of applause? And well, that is it. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you all.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Glo. Everybody, wonderful readings. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful work with us and me.
Good night.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoyed very much.
Thank you.